As we reported earlier, North Korean leader Kim Jong has arrived in Russia, where he's expected to meet with Vladimir Putin. The Russian president apparently wants North Korean weapons for the war against Ukraine. Joining us this afternoon, J.J. Green. He's the national security correspondent for WTOP and the guy to whom we turn in these kinds of questions for some perspective. J.J., thanks. Good to have you with us. I asked you during the break, is this the new axis of evil? And you said yes, and it includes a couple of more tentacles. Explain what you mean.
Well, what I mean by that, Dave, and thanks again for the opportunity to talk with you, is that Russia and North Korea and China, Iran, and a couple of other countries, they need to make a public showing of the fact that they are supporting each other, that they are essentially going to help each other out, because Russia and China and North Korea, to some degree for a long time, have viewed the world order as we know it as a threat. Now they believe that they have the opportunity to create a new world order. So that's a part of what's happening in Vladivostok. It's going to be happening in a few hours. Is they're going to have one of these high-profile meetings that's going to show that they're publicly helping each other, in spite of the fact that what they're going to try to help each other do is illegal, both sides. So that's what they're trying to do, and that's, I guess, a piece of this new axis of evil, if you will.
Too, as on NATO's eastern front, that part of the Atlantic alliance is starting to harden and in fact becoming more of a threat on Russia and you mentioned Iran on their western borders. So I guess this is sort of, maybe we should have expected this, that the other side now and these countries who maybe have more shared interests would come together and try and coalesce.
Yeah, that's right. And here's the perfect example of why this is happening. The U.S. and Japan and South Korea at Camp David not too long ago essentially unveiled a new effort to join together to show that they are in solidarity with each other because of this rising axis of power that Russia, China, North Korea, and others are trying to put together. And a part of the reason why North Korea is really concerned about this is because it's a threat to, they feel it's a threat to the Kim dynasty. What they need is a nuclear weapons threat that can essentially shut any threat to the Kim dynasty down.
Yes.
And part of the reason why this is so important when you mention the eastern flank of NATO is Russia is going to give Kim what Kim needs to do that, to secure his position. But in return, he gets artillery shells, he gets ammo, he gets missiles, Soviet era, mind you, and it's old, but it still works, that Russia can use against Ukraine, which is going to put a strain on Ukraine and essentially a strain on those other countries like Poland and Germany and others that are helping in this war. But this is all absolutely interconnected with the entire picture. When you look at Europe, you look at the Far East, you look at even the West where we are here, where there is a very significant threat to the world order as we know it coming from Eastern Europe.
And speaking of Eastern Europe right now, there are those who say that if Russia gets the materiel from North Korea, that's only liable to prolong the stalemate. Ukraine making some progress toward reclaiming territory, but not nearly as fast as they did last year before winter came. And it would seem like if Russia suddenly is resupplied, they get the weapons and the materiel, that would only then slow the slog and maybe set up a stalemate.
You know, that's a very interesting question, Dave, and part of the reason why I'm going to say I have to agree with you is not because of the weapons, but because of what's happening that some of us in the West really haven't seen. Yeah, them getting these weapons from North Korea is going to be a stopgap measure for Russia. It's going to help them for a while. They're still going to need more weapons. And frankly, the kinds of weapons that Ukraine is getting from the West, the U.S. and Poland, Germany, other places, the Baltics, these weapons are much more advanced than what Russia is going to get. and they're going to make Ukraine better. The problem, I'm told, that could make this into a stalemate is corruption in both those countries, not just in Russia, but also in Ukraine. New York Times has been writing about this, and a couple of other experts that I've spoken to have talked about this. This corruption thing could really throw a wrench in this whole thing. And, you know, it could make this a situation where there's a possibility Ukraine might not win this thing because of corruption.
Very interesting point. In fact, we saw there have been some big firings, lots of people sort of swept out of office in Ukraine for that very reason. J.J. Green, that is precisely why we asked him to join us to get this perspective on what's going on, because it's not just the fact that the North Korean dictator is visiting Vladimir Putin. There are much wider implications here. J.J., many thanks.
Thank you, Dave, as always.
We'll take a break. When we come back, an update on the forecast. Some changes coming tonight, and then actually in the temperature tomorrow and the rest of the week.